Hello, listeners. This is episode 45 of our talk, and it is about craftsmanship. The most important thing an artist needs to know is how to see. It comes from Da Vinci. Da Vinci's style combined that accurate observation and sensitive imagination. My day was over, and I sat with my last tea before bed, reading about Camille Claudel. A photograph dating from 1899 shows Camille Claudel, then aged 45, in her studio, wrapped in a long dark coat, standing opposite Perseus and the Gorgon, which she had sculpted that year. The work reveals Claudel's sources and influences: Donatello, Cellini, Greco-Roman mythology, and the passion she was driven by. The Gorgon's severed head is a self-portrait. This photo is very different from the cliched images usually associated with Camille Claudel's work and life, marked by a tumultuous affair with Rodin and a gradual descent into madness. It shows not only a sculptress capable of planning and producing a work of ambitious size, but also a woman scared by hardship that she has suffered. It was no easy task for a woman to become an artist in the mid-19th century. She had to cope with moral prejudice, gender-related restrictions, and her artistic training, and the prevailing male dominance in the Ministry of Fine Arts and the Salon Jury. This short piece I read on the website of Musée Rodin inspired me to talk about craftsmanship. Many people have the need to express themselves, and rightfully so. However, artists who learn to craft, really the craft, are not that, can't find it. It's not really taught anymore. But those who chose to start at the end has become more rule than exception. In the time of Claudel, it was extremely hard to follow that passion because in that predominantly male world, it simply wasn't done. I wondered to what extent she mentally was not well. And if so, why? Who decided that and labeled her? Obviously, men did. However, that is not my focus for today. My focus is on craftsmanship, and Claudel did everything possible to gain the knowledge, the skills she needed to create her very sensitive sculptures. Her work is what Da Vinci was known for: accurate observation and sensitive imagination. She received her rightful recognition after she passed in the 70s from the 20th century, when feminism was on the rise. Most of my listeners know that I'm a classically trained musician, hence why I probably prefer craftsmanship, because this form of education means mastering your instrument, learning all the ins and outs of music theory and history, daily practice for 4 to 5 hours, and playing scales till you master them in all kinds of variations. As a flautist, I needed to get full control over my breath and what I felt was important skill to play from memory, to tell the story and not only play a bunch of notes from the sheet music. It is the equivalent of learning how to see, accurate observation, and sensitive imagination. But here it's not with the eye, it's with the ear. It's audible. When visual art became more apparent in my life, I desperately wanted to learn how to paint portraits. Before I could draw and paint a portrait, I had to learn to see. Craftsmanship is necessary, no matter what you want to create and how you want to express it. Even if you desire pure intuition to work or improvise on the canvas, know that musical improvisers have a huge craftsmanship. They know what they're doing, and the beauty of that is once you know, you can let go. It doesn't mean that you forget everything. No, it means that you do not have to focus on that specifically anymore, on those basic skills. Does that mean you stop developing yourself? No, never. There are always challenges and subjects you can play with. Enhance yourself. I do, always. But the most important thing is that great art is built on real craftsmanship, also when it is abstract. And the intuitive part comes when you listen to the people or research the people you portray, which I did with a recent portrait. When your craft is strong enough to guide you, it will bring you the insights you need. In my case, that is often color. So I once had a customer who I listened to for a long time. I had to transcribe her words, which I do by hand, by the way. I got flashes of colors I needed to use. And after I expressed that, she was stunned because they had just painted her office in those colors. When I listened to a story of another client while sketching her and taking pictures, I woke up with the message to paint a double portrait. Why? I had no clue, but it kept nagging. And so I did. The most heartfelt message I received was that I gave her brother a face, and from her parents that they would never lose their son again. What I want to emphasize here is not that I have a strong intuition, but I first needed craftsmanship to be able to paint these portraits or make that art book. And my training started privately with an artist who taught me how to see. By first making a plaster head. Yeah, I had to make that, which is fun, by the way, but because you start to feel the 3D. It's not flat, and you create it. That's another layer. And then I had to draw it multiple times. The former Rijksacademy in Amsterdam was even more rigorous. They let their students draw an egg for a year. Learn how to see in order to draw what you see and not what you think you see. Why that egg shape? The basic shape of your head is an egg shape. It was about seeing and drawing the egg form, the shadows, the values, to learn how to use the values and not to see lines. The lights, where do they come from? Is it a single light or are multiple light sources? Suggest 3D, like it's popping off the paper. Learn how to see. Unfortunately, that academy doesn't exist anymore in that existence. It is studios for artists, residency. And that practice is something you hardly find, only in some private studios. Craftsmanship takes time and passion enough to want to learn and not start at the end immediately. And a big example I have again from the music of this is from composer Schoenberg. He invented 12-tone system. And after a concert of his 12-tone work in Vienna, his students almost demanded to teach them this. That is what they wanted. No, he said. First you study the fugues of Bach. Understand what he is doing. Then you come back. Craftsmanship is the base of all art forms. And I know, also for writing. You have heard my interview with Elizabeth Emizu. She crafts her writing. She crafts the sentences, the words she uses. She doesn't say, I want a book now and tomorrow it's ready. Nah, and she builds on the shoulders of the greatest. And that's what you need, dedication, effort, passion, and endurance, and the willingness to build upon the shoulders of the greatest. I think the conclusion is that I love to see craftsmanship in art. If you are interested in learning more about the craft, I would like to invite you to my Facebook group. Kale's Atelier Portrait Figure Drawing and Painting. I give tips for beginners on Wednesday and the more advanced on Tuesday evenings at 7 p.m. UK time. And don't worry, I do not teach you how to draw an egg. There are more ways that lead to Rome, although it might be a good idea. Thank you all so much for listening. I hope you have a productive week. I will next week talk about storytelling. because we all tell stories. We do not realize, but our whole life and the lives of all people is built upon multiple stories. Hence why I say I paint portraits as a story. Anyway, thank you all for listening and speak next week. Bye.